So, I can't call this the worst game ever. Perna already did that this week.
Leverage? Are they saying they used a guy to jump off of?
But I can say it was one of the most nail-biting wins that I have ever had the displeasure of seeing. I was on the verge of tears and vomiting throughout this whole game, but how exactly did it go? The game honestly started as classic as the Bengals have been playing for the last few years. Absolutely no defense. We would end up letting the Jags rack up about 400 total yards through the game. Defense was allowing big play after big play. The Jags aren't bad. Offensively, they were aggressive. Defensively, I was right to worry about their pass rush. While Burrow was in, he was constantly getting rushed. The pocket was imploding all around him. Then the offensive line allowed one of the worst sacks that Burrow has ever received. On the surface, the hit didn't look that bad, but as Joe started to need to be carried off the field, my heart sank. Joe Burrow has a bad case of turf toe and will be out for a minimum of 3 months, putting his return optimistically in Week 16 against the Dolphins in Miami. That leaves us with 13 games that we need to try and get 5 wins out of. So looking at these games, we have 2 wins from the first 2 weeks of the season, which is huge. That's the first time this has happened in Zach Taylor's coaching stint here at Cincinnati. And we've put our optimistic Burrow return at December 21st at Miami for Sunday Night Football. Between now and then, we have 12 games. I want to try and aim for at least 10 wins to try to sneak us into a wild card spot. Alright, going game by game. Minnesota, I think we have the win here in Minnesota this week. Next, Denver. I will say that's a toss-up, but to be optimistic, I'll put that as an L. Detroit, they came out on fire this week. I think they still have that kneecap chewing mentality up there. I'd say they get the win on us as well for an early October game. Green Bay, in Green Bay, in an afternoon game. I will give this one to Green Bay. Pittsburgh, Thursday Night Football. I would absolutely love a Bengals win here. Preferably the defense to step up and really get some interceptions, get some pressure on Rodgers. The Jets at home, I give that to us immediately. Chicago next at home. I think we have that one too. Give it to us. Right now, so far, I have us at 4 wins. Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. I'm going to give it to the Steelers, unfortunately. The next week after that, New England. I think we have a good chance of winning that. I think that is at this point, that's a must-win game. I think most of our home games this year are winnable. It's some of these away games that are giving me a little bit more hesitancy. Thanksgiving night football, Bengals versus Ravens in Baltimore. That's going to be tough. I just have to lean towards the Ravens for that one. Buffalo's probably going to be trying to do their thing. It's going to be late in the season. I think Buffalo will take that win. Now, Baltimore late in the season like this, it's hard to say. I think this could go either way. This could also be Joe Burrow's first starting game if I wanted to be a little bit more super optimistic. Also, that's depending on how good are we doing. Is it worth him coming in this early, or do we need to give him a little bit more rest? So I'm going to go ahead and give that to Baltimore. So if my predictions are so far true, we are now 7-6, and if we lose this Baltimore week, we are 7-7. Burrow comes back out for a run at Miami, is already looking terrible this season, and then we play Arizona and Cleveland at home after that to round out 10 wins for the season. I think we still have a chance for the playoffs. It just matters about winning those games with Jake Browning. But before we get ahead of ourselves looking at the rest of the season, how did we finish out week 2? Well, Jake Browning came out as we were down 7, while the defense pulls up an interception. Even with Joe being out, Jamar and T still showed up. Jamar racked up 165 yards and caught a touchdown from Joe, while T with this tough play to bring in a 42-yard touchdown. Chase Brown was unfortunately being smothered this week with his second week in a row with him running less than 3 yards a carry. Undrafted rookie Mitchell Tinsley really showing out in this game with his first career touchdown. While the defense felt paper soft for the most part throughout the game, they still had a couple surprises, intercepting Lawrence twice. Dax Hill getting his Jordan Battle with his second of the year. Imagine if he could average 1 interception a game. I hope he picks Rodgers off 8 times. We also had our own interceptions this game. Jake Browning threw 3, and they were not pretty either. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because he has to come into a losing game after the franchise QB is down, and that can't be easy. From what I've seen of him, Browning is better than this as well. During his stint as the starter in 2023, he threw 12 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions over 9 games. He also racked up nearly 2,000 yards in those games. I was confident in Browning then, and I still am now. I think after a week of prep as QB1, Jake will be ready to show out in Minnesota. Starting the fourth quarter, the game was tied up 24-all. The Jags marched down the field and landed their first down at the Bengals' 7-yard line. However, the Cincinnati passing defense was too strong and forced 3 straight incompletions. The Jags make the field goal to take the lead. We trade punts and have the ball yet again with 6 minutes left. Then Browning has a very textbook interception over the middle, and the Jags have the ball with the lead and 3 minutes left. ESPN gave the Jaguars an 88% chance to win the game at this point. Personally, I probably would have given them nearly 100. However, the Jaguars would make one of the most boneheaded moves this week. Instead of kicking the field goal, forcing us to have to make a touchdown instead of just tying the game with our own field goal, Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen elected to go for it on 4th and 5.
It's 100% a go. In all analytics and all data, it's 100% a go.
Only for Trey Law to check it to Brian Thomas Jr., who drops the pass. The Bengals have less than 4 minutes to go 92 yards, 62 if we want to tie it. But Zach Taylor has no intention of tying it up. He's being aggressive, going for it on 4th and 3. Chase Brown gets us the first and more. A Travis Hunter pass interference call gets us into field goal range. We start chipping away at the distance until Jake Browning dives over the top for a touchdown and nails in the victory. This game destroyed me on so many levels. However, we are 2-0 for the first time with Zach Taylor as our head coach and are leading in the AFC North. I'll give a lot of props to Zach Taylor here. He was coming in under immense pressure. The storyline had been that we have a rough start every year with it. And at the tail end of the game, when we're losing, Zach Taylor has the nerve to go for it on 4th and short in our own territory. He saw the fans leaving the game, and he wanted to say, hey, this season's not over just because Joe's out. This game's not over just because Joe's out. This play isn't over just because Joe's out. We have a chance. And so while my hopes for the season were slightly dashed, I do have some glimmering faith deep inside. Alright then, let's take a look at what next week has in store for us. I've liked the Vikings for a while. I'd say I root for them pretty regularly in their matchups. I think that their team overall is pretty well built. But for our matchup, I kind of like our chances. In his first start, JJ McCarthy got the win for Minnesota. In his second, he showed sparks of what won the national championship for Michigan, but he's in the NFL now. Multiple hits led to an ankle injury, taking him out of the game against us next week. This pass rush scares me a lot like the Jaguars did. That could be just because Atlanta's offensive line isn't that great, but I don't think ours is much better. Passing defense-wise, Penix was really able to get some good reads. I don't think Bijan and Chase Brown's style is very comparable, but Robinson absolutely cooked the defense over 160 total yards. What I want to look for as a fan is the defense keeping pressure on Carson Wentz. JJ McCarthy was absolutely being ripped apart out there, fumbling the ball multiple times and with 6 sacks, staying faster than the defense. Many times, Atlanta was able to keep drives alive simply because their offense was ready to go while the Vikings defense remained sluggish. And lastly, keep Jefferson on a short leash. He will absolutely pick us apart if he has a chance. I don't know what Wentz is capable of, but Sam Darnold did really well last year when not a lot of people had a lot of faith in him. But all I have to say to that is who dey.
Who dey? Who dey? Who dey think gon' beat them Bengals? Who dey? Who dey? Who dey think gon' beat them Bengals? Nobody!
While the Thursday night game left a lot to be desired, the early slate on Sunday didn't disappoint. The Cowboys won in an overtime thriller, while Mr. Unlimited showed that the Steelers and the Broncos were really holding him back. The Lions, Buffaloes, and Rams showed out as well, while the Niners taught us Bengals fans to just ride out the injury wave and take it easy, man. The Ravens jump in the second place race in the AFC North, while the Steelers make the Seattle defense look terrifying. The Broncos choke away a late game loss, and the Chiefs go down 0-2 for the first time since Andy Reid's second season in Kansas City. Hi, Are you suffering from injured franchise quarterback syndrome? Do your hopes for the season feel in the gutter? Might I introduce you to Cutter Boley, the newest in prospects from the Big Lex Delusional Hype Institute. Cutter was brought in a couple of snaps last year, and this year he was sat behind Calzada. However, after Calzada was injured after the game last week, the former LCA quarterback was set to start this week. The whole offense looked good, even if it was to an Eastern Michigan team that lost to Texas State and FCS Long Island. I was sweating these next few games, and don't get me wrong, I would not bet on them. But I think we have a chance against South Carolina. I'll get more hyped when we get closer, but SC has only beaten a winless Virginia Tech and an FCS school at home. Watching a team get ripped apart by Vandy gives me confidence against playing them. That, or they'll just completely destroy us. Who knows? Their schedule looks tougher than ours. The little fish in the SEC will get to face off here in 2 weeks, so enjoy your weekend before having to watch the Bengals and Vikings duke it out on Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Subscribe for more, comment your thoughts, and let's aim for 5 likes for this video, and y'all will get to see that surprise I've been lining up for you. I'll see you all next week.